and of extending that mercy by leaving Minister Farrakhan here with us in our hour of true need.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Beloved brothers of the F.O.I, I'm not going to give you any lecture today. I just want to say a few words to you. I want to make sure that we keep our balance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because we have a history. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to say, we're a people of extremes.
Robot.
And, we get carried away sometimes, and we do some foolish things.
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught a lecture one time back in Detroit in the 30s. Times was hard at the Chinese capitalists. None of us hardly have any money.
That's right.
He taught a lecture. In the course of the lecture, he just casually mentioned the fact that a shower was healthier for you than a bath because you didn't reuse the same water.
Right.
It was just a statement of fact.
That's right.
Yeah, back in those days, now today, showers are all over the place. Back in those days, showers were rare among white folks.
Right.
Very few white folks, and like no niggas at all, had showers. Now here, all these Muslims went out running up these big plumbing bills, having showers installed in their house. Going broke for a shower when, hey, the bath was still good. The man was just making a simple statement. It went berserk. Somebody heard some teaching one night and got the impression that Master Farad Muhammad was on his way back. It was time to go. Muslims quit their jobs, packed up, sat at home waiting for the Savior. Week passed by, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. After a while, a few of them started getting worried. Some of them got their jobs back, but most of them didn't. Because they just walked off the job and told, yeah, devil, I've been waiting to get away from you a long time. Now here it is 50 years later, and he come back yet.
Wake us up.
Now, why am I saying all this? Because we can make the same mistake again. We can make a similar mistake. We say we're on a war footing. We got to get on a war footing. And most of you sitting in here don't know anything about a war footing. Vietnam doesn't count. Korea doesn't count. I'm just telling you. This country was not affected by those wars.
That's right.
World War II counts. And there's not too many of you in here know anything about World War II except what you read, and that ain't too much. What you see on TV and they showing the glamour part. You very seldom see anything on TV about how the people here in the country had to live, the effect it had on their lives. It didn't make any difference how much money you had. You got 2 pair of shoes a year. Now, if you wore your shoes out in 2 months, as some of us did, and then you got your other pair and you wore them out in 2 months, that means you got 8 months to go barefoot. That was real. They gave you little books. The red stamps was for meat. Brown stamps was for shoes. Green stamps for sugar. And if you had a car, then you got another little book for gasoline and stuff. But they told you how much you were going to drive your car, how much sugar you were going to eat, how much meat you were going to eat, how many shoes you were going to get. And stockings were out of the question. There were none. Right. Women, if it got cold, they just had to get them some socks or something. Wasn't no stockings available. I mean, that may not sound too bad to you, but you would have to have lived it to really have understood it. But understand this. Now, if they had been as crazy as some of us, when the war hit to the point that they could feel it, they would have all been ready to do nothing but let's just go over there, everybody go over and fight, and those that can't fight, sit and watch those that can, and the country wouldn't be here today. But the Caucasian had sense enough to know, hey man, we got to live after the war. We got to live during the war, and we got to live after the war. So business went on as usual. The newspaper companies were still printing newspapers. Now, the automobile factories quit making cars, but that's because they could still employ the people making tanks, making guns, making shells. Chevrolet plant in St. Louis became Chevrolet Shell. And that happened in most of the places across the country. All of Detroit became warplanes. Pittsburgh became warplanes. Okay? So they could convert. But everything else, The farmers still had to go out there and reap those crops. The grocery stores still had to run. People still had to get jobs as grocery checkers. Brother just mentioned about the tax. Cabs was still running. In fact, that's when cabs really took over Washington, D.C., was during the war. Hey, life goes on. Now, let us not get so spooky that we say we're getting on a war footing and forget about it. Tapes must be sold.
That's right.
Final calls must be sold. Black people must get the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Don't care what else we're doing. We got to get our people by getting the truth into their ears.
Yes, sir.
Everything goes on. You know, when it comes time to pay this man the rent here, can we face him and tell him, "We can't pay you this month because we're on a war footing"? It's a red alert, baby. You get nothing here. That won't work. Because he know he's talking to a stone nut then. Because many wars he's been through, he know what happened in wartime. You have to fight the war and take care of the home front at the same time. That's what makes war. If you didn't have nothing to do with fighting the war wouldn't even be no trouble. What makes war hell is you got to fight the war on top of everything. Don't nothing stop for the war. Nothing stops for the war. Maternity wards still be full. Everything's still going on. I said, no, nobody stopped nothing. Like that's where every time they have a war, they have a baby boom. That's all I want to impress on you tonight. It's just that one factor. Don't care what happens, don't care what we get involved in, do not lose sight of your day-to-day life as an individual, as a family, and as a nation.
Yes, sir.
Everything goes on. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Think you can handle that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's maturity. That is maturity. Immaturity is when anything happens that excites you, you drop everything else and deal with the excitement. But maturity, first thing you do is check. You standing there with your baby in your arms, and somebody holler fire, you don't drop the baby.
Right.
Now, a baby would drop the baby. Because in the excitement, he wants to know where's the fire.
Right.
But when they holler fire, the first thing you say is, okay, I got my baby, where's my wife?
Right.
Where are the rest of my children? You thinking all that before you even know where the fire is.
Right.
Right? Because you know, when you get out of the fire, you still got to hold your family together.
Right.
So you think about beyond the fire as you go to try to take care of the fire. It's the same way. We have to, as we fight this war, as we prepare to fight it, and as we fight it, we have to prepare for after the war.
Yes, sir.
If you study the Holy Quran, you will find that many of the revelations that Prophet Muhammad received that dealt with the widows and orphans and all the things that have to be done, they were revealed before they went into battle.
Right.
Right? They had to know what to be looking out for before they went into battle, so they would be ready after the battle to take care of those conditions that would exist. Okay. Now, as for the battle itself, the greatest enemy, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has always taught us, that the black man has is fear. That's our greatest enemy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there are reasons for that. That doesn't excuse it, but we need to understand it. Because if we don't understand, see, what you don't understand is always dangerous.
Right.
Anything you understand, you can deal with.
Right.
Now, fear that you don't understand can destroy you quickly. If you think that you're a punk if you get scared, you're in trouble.
Yes.
You're a nut if you don't get scared. You were born, and the first emotion you ever had, you've heard Mr. Parker say this, first emotion you ever knew was fear.
Right.
When you came into the world, you had no emotion, you didn't feel nothing. When the doctor slapped you on the butt, you realized that you no longer had that warm sack of water around you. You were hanging out in space, can't reach nothing, and you got scared and you hollered. First emotion you ever had was fear. Fear came into the world with you.
Right. Right.
Don't be acting no fool about you ain't scared of nothing. You're alive. Okay? Then, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, then the devil, when you're a little baby, puts fear into you, including the food he teaches you, which creates fear in you. Okay. So here's fear compounded on fear from the first day you hit the earth.
Right.
And you think you're going to shake it just like that. Ain't no way. You got it.
Right.
What you do, though, is you use it. See, when you see people getting decorated as heroes, why do you think they decorated? They not decorating them because the cat wasn't scared. If he wasn't scared, wouldn't be no reason to decorate him. He was a fool. What they decorating him for is being afraid and overcoming his fear to do what was necessary. That's what bravery is. Bravery is overcoming your natural fear to do a courageous act. Any fool can be just run around. I ain't scared. No, you ain't scared because you're crazy. But the key is that you put yourself in a position where your fear can't conquer you. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if the devil comes at you in tanks, run toward the tank. See, once you break and run toward that tank, it's too late to think about being scared. You're going to do something to the tank, believe me. You don't give yourself a chance to be scared. You just automatically break for the tank. Say, Allah Akbar, go for the tank. Then when it's over, you say, damn, I didn't know I had done that in my past. I was One time, right in this mosque, we used fear to get the Messengers program over successfully, better than anybody in the whole nation. Okay? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad baptized Cobo Hall. As soon as Cobo Hall was built in Detroit, he was one of the first people to speak there. I think the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Cobo Hall in Detroit. I think Billy Graham was the first one, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came in the next 2 weeks or something like that, okay? So we got to Cobo Hall, and everybody is feeling, he sent me in there early, and I'd done all this bad PR and horse from running around on sound trucks and stuff and everything, and we pulled the crowd in there and everything. Elijah Muhammad Jr. got all of the ministers up there, got the National Secretary, John Ali, to read our records. They had set quotas for how many. Message to the Black Man had just come off the press. They had just distributed them around the country. They had told everybody, you know, what your quota was according to the F.O.I. and the MGT you had there, especially the F.O.I. Nobody was even close to their quotas. Muhammad Jr. read us, up and down and walked the crowd. Especially, hey, don't let you supposed to be one of them tough ones anyhow. We call particular hell. Understand? New York and Los Angeles caught hell. Understand? Because we were supposed to be so tough. We wasn't selling no books. Not like we were supposed to. When we got through, he came over signifying with me, you know. So that's all right, Jim. I tell you what, you will never get a chance to do that to me again. Never on this earth. Okay? We came back to Los Angeles. We came up with a plan. When we worked that plan, Los Angeles jumped out in front of those books and nobody ever caught up. Never in history did anybody ever catch up with Los Angeles on the sale of Message to the Black. Okay? We used simple principles. First of all, we said laborers in leadership positions can't tell nobody to do nothing until they do it themselves. People can tell it in your voice. You can't teach charity if you ain't charitable. Because they hear the hollow ring in your voice. Okay? You can't teach fight if you ain't a fighter. You can't teach nothing that ain't in you, not to black folks. That's why black folks, when they listen to white folks' music, it just don't sound right. Because they don't have that thing that they can feel coming from their heart. Right? Well, they hear our voices the same way. You can't shuck us. You can't shuck us. I don't care if a dude just walked in the door, you can't shuck it. But he's the hardest one to shuck because you ain't got him brainwashed yet. So, the first thing I did was gave all the laborers 30 days to buy a case of books. I didn't say to sell a case of books. That's their problem. They don't buy the case of books. And, of course, in the laborers' meeting, Brother Nuri was right there. He'll tell you. Brother popped up and says, what happens if we don't sell the book? I said, wait a minute. I phrased it wrong. Everybody who is a laborer 30 days from now will have bought a case of books. So there is no such thing as a question of what happens if you don't. Everybody who's a laborer will have done that. That was done. We had one little brother, one young brother, 18 years old and struggling. And the last day, the brother came in, and the captain came up to me. I could tell something was up, because he came to me telling me he got a problem, but he was looking proud. I said, what the hell kind of problem is this he coming to be happy about? He brought the little 18-year-old brother into the room. He was a little lieutenant. And the brother had on khakis and tennis shoes. Captain said, he's out of uniform. I just want to know, is it all right if we can let him on in the mosque? It was on a Sunday. Let him in on a Sunday. Come to find out what had happened was the brother was a little short for buying his case. And Sunday was the deadline. So Saturday he went to the pawn shop with everything he owned. Except them khaki pants. You understand? I said, by all means, you put him on front post if you want to. Because I'm going to teach on him anyhow. Okay? All right. That was phase one. We didn't lose a labor. See, brothers, we do. A lot of times, we, in our leadership positions, we insult your intelligence. We insult more than your intelligence. We insult your religion. Because we don't have faith in the God that the God will put into you what's necessary to do what needs to be done. And so we're scared to ask you to do because our faith is weak. Hear that? So, these laborers, and we had a big mosque with a bunch of laborers. We did not lose a laborer, not a brother or a sister, because every last one of them bought their case of books. Okay? Now, when they got up before the F.O.I. and FGT talking about buying books, they can talk loud, hard. They've been through it. They ain't talking theory. They talking experience. You can't tell them you can't do it. They know it can be done because they just did it.
That's right.
See, that's the first thing you have to establish. That's why Patton, when he told them cats to jump in the Rhine and swim across it with all that ice floating, cats said it's too cold out here in the wintertime. One of them jumps into the manual. Says, you know, the manual says that an officer can't ask a man to do anything that he won't do. Patton took all his two Pearl Helm 45s, handed them to his chauffeur, dove in, swam across, swam back, and said, get in the goddamn river. You can't argue with that. You can't tell him it's too cold, he just swam it twice. You ain't got to swim it for one. You can't argue with that. That's the kind of leadership you got to respect. So once we got the leadership straight, we didn't have to worry about the body. Because every time a lieutenant, every time the captain, every time a squad leader got up before them and started talking books, they were looking at a man or woman who had already sold a case. They weren't looking at nobody who was killing. When they said, you can do it, I can't tell him I can't because hell, he did it. Secretary John, a national secretary, when they first started the quota for the papers at 100 papers a week, they were getting complaints from all over the nation, not from the brothers, from the ministers and the captains. Well, our brothers can't do this. This man went out. He's a national laborer, the top national laborer. He goes out one day in Chicago, snow about that high, and sold 100 papers, came back and told the messenger man, say, I bet not hear one of y'all talking about what you mean can't do no more. So we up to quota 300, everybody sold it. Right? You know. Okay, so that's phase one. Still getting to the part that I'm leading to about the fear. That's when fear entered into it. Now, I knew that the laborers could handle it, but I gave them an extra boost because I taught a lecture on the books using the Quranic quote that some of us fear men as we ought to fear Allah, and that all of us fear the devil as we ought to fear Allah. But then I said, but you can't hide behind that. You don't hide behind that. Since you got it and you can't get rid of it, use it. This is what I taught the believers, and this is what they did. This is why we jumped so far out in front, nobody ever caught up again. I told them, what you do is, come payday. See, now, you ain't scared of Allah enough that you scared not to sell a case of books. You ain't that scared of Allah. I told the boy, I said, listen, don't tell me nothing. I ain't asking you. Okay. You ain't that scared of the guy. But you scared of white folks. So what you do is you use the fear of white folks to do the work for the guy. So what you do is, when you get your paycheck, you spend it on the books. Then you so scared of that devil, you going to sell the books to get that devil his money. Now, that's how we did it. They tried it, and it worked. Once they had put their money out on them books, they had them bills to pay. They sold, look here, man. They didn't know they were salesmen. But they cats think about that bills, boy, look here, they can talk sometimes. Hey, man, look, I mean, you need this book, brother. Believe me, you need. I mean, brother, I need for you to have this book. So that's just an example. Anything, any weaknesses that you may have, don't submit to them. That's all. You got them. And you're going to have them right up into the hereafter. Don't think you're going to come out a saint. Them's lies. You're going to have them. The thing is, do not submit to them. Make them work for you. I don't care what it is. Find a way to make those weaknesses work. And if you can't think of a way yourself, get in your study groups and throw it out there. Let's be family.
Yes, sir.
Let's be family. Let's not try to sit up and impress each other about I am the great I am. That's bull. We all a bunch of niggas in here trying to be Muslims, and we struggling at it, and we can help each other if we level with each other.
Yes, right.
Okay? Come here and talk about I'm a true follower. Man, we none of us no damn true followers. Minister's cussing like mad right now about all of us disobeying him all the time. Man, ain't no true followers. We trying to be followers. That's what we trying to be. Okay? We need help from each other.
Right.
You help me, I help you. I stumble, you catch me, you stumble, I catch you. Okay? Let's take our weaknesses, put them on the table and say, look, how can we use these to help the nation? I'm not exaggerating. Brother Troy been with me too many years. Brother Nuri, Brother Cornelius, they will tell you. I'm not jabbing. They have seen this work. They have made it work. They have done these things that I'm telling you right now. And at the time, it seemed pretty crazy, didn't it, Brother Troy? That's right. At the time, it was pretty far-fetched. But it worked. It worked. And that is nothing but recognizing that everything that Allah creates is for the benefit of man. I know that's hard to take. You say, even the filth, even evil? Yeah, all of it. Every bit of it. You look at the cockroaches and you say, now, Lord, they crawl all over my damn house. I know they wasn't put here to serve me. Yes, they were. Because if it wasn't for the cockroaches, AIDS wouldn't be nothing compared to what you would have. If the cockroaches didn't come to eat the filth would fester, and you would have diseases that are unheard of right now. Okay? You look at you say, well, all these people raising crops to eat, and the bugs getting on there, eating up the ground. What about them tomato worms? Tomato worms will not even eat a good tomato. You know that? No worm, no bug will attack a healthy vegetable. Because their nature was put here to get rid of that which is impure. And if you grow unhealthy plants, they will attack it because their job is to destroy it before it putrefies and sets up diseases. This is why when you have rich enough soil and you grow it, you don't have to use no pesticide. A bug don't take it because it don't even look good to it. It's not even appetizing. Ain't nothing appetizing to a bug but filth.
Come on.
All of it was put here, one way or another, for our benefit. Praise to Allah. I didn't mean to get into all of this, brother.
Come on. Bring it on.
But we need to be very balanced. The minister gave us, it's been almost 2 years now, at a national laborers meeting. He said, our theme from here on out for the nation is balance. Brother Halim, is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
He said, that's the theme of the nation from now on, from that point on, is balance. See that people of extremes that we have been? I'm right in the middle. Balance. He doesn't want to see us being extremely nothing but extremely balanced. Okay? And you know, your nature, you know, your very nature tells you that balance is the way to go. You ain't supposed to be no way out this way and way out that way, that you're supposed to be right in the middle. When you talk about somebody and you want to say something compliment, I'm talking slang now. Our people talk slang, and most of the slang has a deeper meaning than we understand when we're saying it. But when you talk about somebody and you don't want to say it, the best you can say about it, say, yeah, man, who, brother, mean? Now, we know that sometimes the word mean means evil or it means harsh and all that so forth and so on. So why do we say that and say, oh, he's mean, or oh, that's a mean broad, man. That's a mean machine you're driving, brother. What are you saying? In mathematics, and Islam is mathematics. In mathematics, the mean is the exact middle between two extremes. So the epitome of good is mean. You at the mean, you at the perfect place to be because you're dead in the middle. You're not leaning toward either extreme. Come on, teach them that. We don't even know how smart we are. We be hairy out there. Like we say we're hip, but we don't really know how hip we are. We're saying the right thing. You know, I remember when I was coming up, we used to call white folks F.O.I. And I had to come in the nation. All the pig Latin we've been speaking all them years, I had to come into the nation before I realized that when we were saying F.O.I, we were speaking pig Latin for foe, which means enemy. Y'all, I mean, y'all don't know pig Latin. Don't know pig Latin. Oh, okay. Well, I better tell you a little bit about it. Pig Latin is a thing that little black children started way back before my time. And what you do is, you talk, like if you want to say go, you say okay. Okay? What you do is, you eliminate the first consonant, start with the first vowel and say the word, then take the consonant and just put it on the end with AY behind it. Okay? If you want to row a boat, you don't say you row, you say you O-ray. You know? What's the each day? Okay. Okay, you got the picture? Yes, that's what pig Latin is. Yet we grew up calling white folks F.O.I without even thinking about pig Latin, because in pig Latin, F.O.I means foe and foe means enemy. See? We were calling them the right stuff and didn't even realize it. Teach you on the idiom. This is a, we're an idiomatic people. I mean, sometimes we get to be idiotic people, but we are an idiomatic people. Come on. You know? Just one last point, and this has no connection with what we have been saying. You got it. But just like, if you notice, as those of us who get Muslim names, every name means something. Right. You notice the Chinese, all their names mean something. Right. The American Indian, as they're called. Know it. These youngsters are talking something, they don't know it. But if we listen, we may know it, and it will help us relate to them. Okay? So, as I say, like break dancing and rapping and all that sort of stuff, man, to me is, turns me off personally. But I know that whatever it is that's attracting those youngsters, there's a reason for it. And when I heard Mr. Farrakhan at the Youth Expo in New York City, telling those youngsters in that school about the fact that as ignorant as it looks, as silly as it looks, and as dangerous as it has become sometimes, breakdancing says something about these youngsters' minds. When these youngsters can master the laws of physics to the extent that they can put one elbow down as a fulcrum with the weight of their body on this end and nothing but the head on that end and balance, that's a mathematician. And all we got to do is utilize that natural gift for physics and math and put it in the right channel. Waste nothing. God wastes nothing. I don't care what you think of it. Like the Holy Quran says, be careful. You may be hating something that Allah loves. Because he does not waste a thing. There's nothing on this earth he wastes, even the pig. It ain't for us to eat. That's right. But it ain't a waste. That's right. He got a purpose. The catfish, the shrimp, all of that. The shrimp and the catfish do the same thing in the water that the bugs and the rats do on the land. They eat the filth. Keep it clean. Back when we could drink the water natural, it was because you had that. Oh, brother, let's run this. Come on. I never will forget somebody was sitting around the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's table talking about the fact that they had come across this spring. They were real thirsty. They were driving somewhere, and they were way away from the city and everything. They got real thirsty, and they found this spring or well or whatever it was, and said that they got some water up in the bucket and said it had little worms in it. Ooh. And they just had to leave it alone. Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, said, sister, that's the water you should drink. He said, the water you have to be scared of is that don't have no life in it, because you don't know whether it will support life or not. He said, but when you find them little worms in there, just don't drink them. He says, you pour the water off the worms and drink that water, you know it's good if the worms are living. Check that out. That's little worms in the water to let you know that it's safe to drink. Praise is due to Allah. That's right. So whatever might get in there, the worms probably eat it up. Keep the water clean enough for you to drink, just like the fish we're doing. You know, the fish that we don't eat, they're in there keeping the water clean so we can drink it. All right, brothers. I think that's enough, but I just I wanted to those last things were just some things for general information to throw out to you. Try to open your mind up again. As I say, mind to possibilities. Your mind's open to possibilities. But basically, what I'm talking about is maturity and balance, and that is not let nothing carry you way off. You know, we were talking today about some things where some folks had gotten off base, where this brother, Dr. Goss, had done some good things, helped the minister out a lot in some help that he needed, and helped a lot of us out who went through that cleaning up period. Right. Only problem is some people took the man for a god then, and he couldn't say no wrong, and then they go all off into that other stuff, you know, that's contrary to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Don't blame him. Right. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
See, if we can't learn to deal with the people in the world around us, then we're not really studying like we should.
Come on.
We should be able to go in among any kind of people from any walk of life and walk in the teaching that we're being taught and walk safely.
Right there.
We can take all the good out of anything that's out there and throw the bad away and say, thank you, brother.
That's right.
Really appreciate this good part. We don't have to sign off and marry nobody because they got something good. We take the good, leave that behind that we cannot use. You don't eat apple cores. That don't mean you hate apples. It don't stop you from eating apples because you know before you bite in it, it's got a core. So you, I ain't biting now. I bite that thing, I'll get to a core. But by the same reason, you told you can't go to this apple's so good, I got to eat the core. I mean, I'm eating the apple. Oh, you eat that which was meant to be eaten, and then the core serves a good purpose. So when you throw it away, the seeds go in the ground, and make you some more good apple seeds. So you ain't doing nothing wrong by casting off that which is not useful to you. Okay? Let's not be, because in fact they told me it got so extreme, they had something to do with it here selling holy water or something. Because that's what happens when you let yourself go to an extreme. Right. Whereas if you kept your balance, you said, no, yeah, but you know, you took the herb, right? I like big herbs. But you know, what make your water any holier than anybody else's? Yeah. You added some castor oil and some lemon juice. I got castor oil and lemon juice. I don't need your water. I'm going to make me something like yours. Man,
that's right.
This is what we really got to be offering. And, you know, and I'm saying this to all of you. Because this brother came up to me that I think he'd been in the nation longer than I have. But he was over to my house the other day fixing something. And his wife and my wife got to talking about something. And he turned to me talking about, is she a Taurus? I said, oh, God. How can a man be in the nation 100 years and still talking astrology? I mean, you know, you can't stay in a good church and talk astrology because it's so anti-religious. The Bible condemns it. The Holy Quran condemns it. And as I think I got to take care that I'm going to leave here, where I was teaching on, Shakespeare condemned it. I mean, everybody jumped on it. Astrology. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy. Read the 10th chapter of Jeremiah and see what it says about astrology. And read different versions of the Bible. Read different versions of the Bible. Because the King James Version and the New International Version, they say, you know, don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. And then sometimes you can get into an argument with folks about what that actually means. But I think it's called, the Living Bible. Read Jeremiah 10th chapter in the Living Bible. And it says, don't follow the way of the people because the people believe in horoscopes. Straight out like say the heathen. Heathen believe in horoscopes and they are lies. That's what it says in the book. And here's somebody talking about they religious and talking about a doggone horoscope. You know, I know some of y'all probably, but I ain't going to match you. Been hung up in that stuff, the zodiac and my sign. But see, Shakespeare made a very beautiful point on the horoscope that there are only 12 signs in the zodiac. And all the slaves and all the masters are born under the same sign. Then why is he the master and you the slave? It's just that simple. So, I mean, he broke it down so pretty. That's all needs to be said. You know? And so I have used that in speaking engagements where people ask me about this with horoscope. First thing I said, you know, we spent 310 years on the slave plantation. During that whole slave master, you had the white Gemini living in the big house and the black Gemini picking cotton. Now, what went wrong with the horoscope? I mean, you got to think about it. I remember I came back, first time I came back to LA after I left, I was over here around on Santa Barbara getting a haircut. And I asked what happened to the sister that used to own the shop. And this brother, one of them magnificent brothers, he said, oh man, you know Cleo's the Gemini. I said, man, what they got to do with anything? I said, they got Geminis on Wall Street and Geminis on welfare now. I mean, you know, what they talking about? You know? Okay, brother. When everybody down, let's just keep our feet on the ground. Minister's not going to talk anymore for a while. That's your test. Minister going to leave the country. That's your test. We failed it once. You going to fail it again?
No, sir.
Hey. In fact, some of us failed it twice. I went to Detroit. I found some folks still waiting for Master Fard Muhammad. That's right. Haven't changed a bit since 1934. That's right. And you can go from city to city and you find some people sitting up there talking about they ain't going to do nothing different than what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, and they're not going to follow Farrakhan.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we have got to keep our feet on the ground. We've got to be level-headed. We've got to keep an even keel. Otherwise, we'll go to nothing. Now, when the minister leaves, whether he comes back soon, whether he comes back a long time now, or whether he does not come back at all, does that change our responsibility? No. Are we supposed to fall apart like we did before just because the man's not standing in front of us and we can't talk to him and can't see his face and all that? That's supposed to destroy us? No. If so, then we didn't really take in none of his teaching. That's right. That is the test. The story of Samson makes it so plain. The story of Samson makes it so plain because Samson, a young lion, roared at Samson. Samson broke the lion's jaw. Okay? Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that means America. Because America is called the young lion because it descended from the old lion, Britain. Okay? So, you know, he said, now his mouth is shut up. When you break the jaw is the portion that if your jaw ain't working, you can't talk. Yeah? Anytime that can't move, you can't talk. So when you break the jaw, they can't talk. So he said that once he shut the beast's mouth so that he can't really come out against you and fight you with his mouth, then that's the time for you to get in there and do some work. So what Samson did was once he broke the lion's jaw, killed the lion, he went on about his business. The book says when Samson came back, inside the carcass of the lion was a whole hive of bees. Working hard, making plenty honey. They weren't looking for Samson. Their job was not to look for Samson. Their job was to make honey. A bee's nature is to make honey, so they were doing what comes naturally. They were on their job, whether Samson ever came back or not. They weren't trying to work and look over their shoulder and see, you see me, Sam? They did what they were supposed to do, because that's what they were supposed to do whether Samson was there or not. As a result, remember, Samson came back and saw the bees working so diligently. And he was proud of them, so he tasted the honey. See how good was their work producing. And it tastes all right to him. But he said, I'm going to take a little bit to my parents, see what daddy thinks about it, too. Show him how proud I am of my little bees back there working. And went on by his business. The bees didn't even know he'd been there. So they were so busy doing what they were supposed to do, they didn't even know that their man had been back. That's not in there for nothing.
That's right.
That's not written there for nothing. It's trying to tell us something. We get busy and do our job. After a while, we'll quit worrying about when is Minister F.O.I going to come? When is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? We ain't be wondering about that. We're going to be trying to make sure that we're doing that which pleases Minister F.O.I God, Master F.O.I Muhammad, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
That's what we're going to be trying to do. Trying to please him. Let me say one thing to you, brothers. You know, a lot of times, I think in my mind, and I guess I think I done got heavier than God or something, but I get something in my mind. I get the understanding of something and want to hold it back, and then I have to be reminded with a swift kick from the Lord that he don't reveal nothing for me that he don't want me to tell. Okay? Otherwise, he wouldn't let a big mouth fool like me get it, because he know I'm like an old worn-out refrigerator. I can't keep nothing. So, let's just go into a little bit. So, do I have time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I hadn't intended to, because I thought I shouldn't, but I can't hold it.
Go. Yeah. Hey, come on, baby.
The Bible says that it shall be in the end as it was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
How was it in the beginning? In the beginning, up until 66 trillion years ago, God, in person, walked around among the people of the earth, and everybody knew who he was. Everybody. Hey, there go the Lord. I mean, it wasn't no big thing. They knew who he was. But when one of our wise scientists blew away the moon, the scientists then realized that that evil streak that was in the original man was coming closer and closer to the surface, and it was no longer safe for the person of God to be known to the general public. Therefore, they decided that the 12 of them would always keep the secret of God, and one of them would be the God. So from 66 trillion years ago until the advent of Master F.O.I Muhammad, God has never been among the general public. But according to all the prophecies, God himself would come to seek to save that which was lost. And he says, and then he will dwell among us forever and ever, right? He said that once he found his people, he would dwell among them. I will never leave you again. I'll dwell among you forever and ever.
That's what I.
So when Master F.O.I Muhammad found us, and when Master F.O.I Muhammad left us, does that mean God lied?
No, sir.
No, because we didn't realize that after 1975, that even after Master F.O.I Muhammad left, God was among us.
That's right.
See,
come on. Come on.
Yes, sir. Keep on, D. Yes, sir. But understand this. God dwelt among us in the person of Master F.O.I Muhammad. And only after he was gone did the people realize that God had dwelt among us. Then God dwelt among us another 40 years or so in the person of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right. Come on. Go ahead with it, brother.
Only after he was gone did we say, that was the Christ, the man who was raised up to become God.
Yes, sir.
Man like Moses, who Jehovah made a God.
That's right.
And only then did we realize it. So that means that it is still not quite like it was in the beginning. God has kept his promise. He always dwells among us. But we have reached an intermediary stage now where we still can't stand God dwelling among us, and we know he is God. We still have got to look in the past. He's got to always have been the God.
Yes, sir.
You see, The reason that Master Farad Muhammad was referred to all through Scripture as the Almighty God and the Everlasting God, it did not mean that that man was going to live forever.
That's right.
What it simply meant was, everyone that has served as God since the creation of the Creator has had limited knowledge. And his knowledge, whatever it was, ruled until one of a superior knowledge was born, and then his knowledge took over and ruled. Even after he's dead and gone, his knowledge was ruling through whatever man was sitting there in the seat as the God. He was using the brain, the mind, the power of that God until one was born greater than that one, then his power began to rule. Yaqub broke the circle. He came in wiser than the one that was standing there as the God and the one who he was serving, and he became the God. But the reason this one is called the Almighty God is because his is unlimited. And that once he would come, the reason they say he would rule forever is that his knowledge is 360 degrees. Nobody will ever be born with a knowledge superior to his. So that means that from now on, every God that rules will be ruling from the power of Master Farad Muhammad. And it means that we will always have God among us, carrying in him the power of Master Farad Muhammad. And one day, when we get mature enough, we won't have to wait till he's gone. We'll know that's God among us. Assalamu alaikum.